Well, hey there, I'm Andi, and I wanted to pop in and do a quick video. As we're approaching Father's Day weekend, it got me to thinking about how often when we have attachment wounding, holidays like Mother's Day or Father's Day, Christmas, lots of holidays can really bring up triggers and old wounds where we've maybe felt really alone, or there just is a lot of history there that maybe we haven't always had a chance to resolve. And so today, what I wanted to talk about a little bit and then lead you through just a short exercise is sort of listening to our younger self that is maybe giving us some information. So what that might look like is, as you think about this weekend, for example, this might not apply to you, but you can utilize it in other situations. You may just take a moment and do what I would call a body scan. And that's where we take a moment and almost like a laser, going over our body, just noticing if there's any sensations that come up as we think about what's coming. And for me, I have just a light sensation in my stomach, and part of my story is that I do have some wounding around this particular holiday. If you followed me for a while, that's part of my story, and I've shared about that in some past blogs and some things like that. But what you might do, for example, for me with feeling some sensation in my stomach is to put my hand on my stomach and just to take a moment and notice what's coming up. And as I'm doing this, I'm always keeping my window of tolerance in mind, meaning if at any point this feels overwhelming or too much, I can always stop and do something like grounding and naming through some sensory exercises what's in my immediate surrounding. But with what I'm feeling in my stomach, I might ask myself, how old does this make me feel, this experience that I'm having? And sometimes we might have, sort of more than one thing at a time. And the biggest question there is to sort of get a little bit of information from our body of how old does this make me feel? And so, for example, if this makes me feel like a teenager, I might then have some information about how to interact with this part of myself. And so to almost say to this 14-year-old self, I might put a name to the sensation like fear or alone. And then what self-care moving forward might look like going into the weekend is really thinking of the age of that self and what is it that self needs to sort of to feel like they have the support to deal with something hard. And so one of the ways we might do this is to take a moment and to really visualize the age of that self. And we might even bring in some folks beyond just our adult self who might be supportive. And so depending on if you're maybe coming from a faith background, you may consider bringing in, Jesus or a representation of God that feels helpful to you. Or it might be someone, I've had folks bring in Brene Brown, or I've had folks bring in Dumbledore, or, there's a lot of ways that we can sort of be resourced. And so I'm just going to take a moment and I invite you to do that too, and just to notice where you might be experiencing something in your body. Almost listening, what does that part of yourself want to say? And then as needed, go ahead and bring in some allies beyond just your even adult self who really make you feel supported and loved in the place that you are. I just want to encourage folks, if you have any kind of similar story to me, to reach out and to know that whatever your experience around childhood and parenting and all those things that can be complicated, and it's okay to feel more than one thing, that you can be both grateful and sad, that you can, multiple feelings are really normal and human. And so I just want to encourage you as you do this work to be really gentle and to really take care of that younger part who is maybe carrying some of the wounds that you haven't yet maybe had a chance to really completely address. And that's normal. A lot of us have that. And, I often say there's the paradox of compassion, that moving towards our wounds with compassion can often help us move us through it. Hope that you all are doing well.